Ladies and gentlemen, can I say a big welcome to you all, and thank you so much for coming here for our fourth symposium on chronic fatigue syndrome and ME. I'm really pleased we've got such a wonderful turnout of people and that there is so much for us to talk about over the next 2 days. My name is Stephen Holgate. I was one of the people who started this thing off, this collaborative off about 5 years ago, for the very reason really to try and improve the quality of research in this field where we know there's tremendously challenging questions that need answering. But secondly, to try and persuade people to come out of different fields of medical science and to engage with us, to bring in new technology and methodology really. And whether we've achieved that or not, I don't know, but I think the mere fact that we have a room full of people here this morning says 4 years down the line after we started our collaborative that we are still very much alive and kicking, and I'm really thrilled to see that, and thank you very much. Forgive my rather husky voice. I was in Milan for the last 3 days and giving lots of talks, and I've got a bit of a cold as well, so but anyway, I'm still here and up and kicking. Right, well, to say that the last year hasn't been an exciting year would be an untruth, because the collaborative has gone through the most extraordinary interactions over the last 12 months, many of which have been very positive and some have not been quite so positive. But at the end of the day, I think we are enriched by the experience of the last 12 months, and I'm just very grateful for all the colleagues that make up the executive and the organisations that support us for all the help they've given us, and I'm going to mention some of that in a minute. The first thing to say is that 2 of our colleagues on the executive are going to step down. Julia Newton from Newcastle, who obviously you'll be hearing about later on, and Hugh Perry from Southampton are both stepping down for different reasons. Julia is moving on to bigger things in Newcastle, and we congratulate her on that. And Hugh Perry is kind of pulling back a bit now from his work. Now he's not on the MRC board, and he feels that he would like to hand over some of the responsibilities to others. But he still wants to, as Julia does, maintain their interest in our field. So I'm delighted to say Patrick Chinnery from Cambridge. He works at the mitochondrial biology unit in Cambridge, a brilliant scientist, interested in multiple sclerosis and mitochondrial metabolism and so on. He's joining in place of Hugh Perry, so we will have that neuroscience connection, which is very, very important as far as the executive is concerned. So just a big thank you for Julia and Hugh, and I'd actually like to give them a clap, please, because I don't know whether they're here or not, but they need to know that they've been very much valued over the time. Now, the other thing that's happened, and it's been a very positive happening over the last 12 months, is that through Mark Edwards' good offices, really. Mark was a new member of the executive who's worked with industry and the Medical Research Council, helped us really start beginning to interface with the biotechnology and industry sector. And we've got 3 new members, that are, well, not members, individuals who are contributing to our executive now. Mark Dalrymple from LifeArc, which is a new charity that's spun out of the MRC team, which was because of some substantial funding that they were awarded with a patent that they were able to pass on to industry. So they formed a charity, and Michael is helping us a lot in maybe supporting some of our translational research in this field. And then Mark Jones, who again has been incredibly supportive. He's from UCB, and he's been amazing in helping us make connections on the immunology front and so on through that company. And then James Brodie from GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, who also is putting us into contact with the neuroscience aspect and other parts of GSK. So these are all starting points, but it does indicate to you that industry is interested in what we're doing and do want to engage with us, even though we don't have any simple targets to be able to present to them now. The fact that they've joined us is terrific. Anika Isa Brown, who's from the Medical Research Council, who we owe a huge debt to over the last few years, because she's helped us enormously in our MRC and given us the opportunity to meet at MRC, in fact, for our meetings. She will be moving on to other things in MRC. She has emailed me to say that she wants to stay in contact with us, she wants to continue helping us. But MRC's responsibility for this area will be moving on to a couple of other people, which I won't name at the moment, but she is very keen indeed that this connectivity with MRC remains, and we are, I think, very keen to ensure that it does as well. So that's nice. But I just wanted to, I don't know whether Niha's here or not, but I mean, she has been quite amazing in helping us, hasn't she? Through some quite difficult times sometimes, and I just want to offer her our personal thanks. And if we could just give her a round of applause, really, because the MRC is important to us. Now, a really exciting thing that's happened beyond what I've just mentioned is the fact that we've got a new group of people who are willing to help us in this area, and that is Arthritis Research UK, ARUK. Fantastic organisation. I've been working with them over the last 12 months or so on a new initiative on pain, and they've got a roadmap that they're developing. And what's exciting about this is that this came out of the patient surveys they did, that this was a high priority. And that through their wonderful restructuring of research, they're populating all of their research panels with pain initiatives across the whole area, which of course will include fatigue. So we're likely to see quite a lot of new research in this field as a direct result of what ARUK have done. And I think Steve Simpson and Craig Bullock, who've been the two people who have really driven this, need to be absolutely congratulated for taking on this patient-centered view and delivering this on the front foot. And can I offer my personal thanks to them, having had the privilege of working with them on this roadmap. They are, of course, co-sponsoring our meeting here as well, which shows you their commitment to us, which is terrific. Now, where are we with the collaborative? Well, I wish I could say there are millions and millions of pounds of funding in the area, but there isn't. There is funding in the area, and we have got new projects. Several of them will come out of the MRC, in fact, which is very nice. The MRC funding has increased from 0% 2 years ago to 17% now, of the funding proposals that come in. And those that don't get funded, and they are seeing quite a few of these now, are getting to the edge of being funded. And that's important, because, you know, as we start to ramp up the quality of research, you won't just see a switch and suddenly money pouring in. You'll see people almost getting there, but not quite, reconfiguring their applications and then coming back in again in a different way. So this is the right direction of travel, and I think it's absolutely wonderful that we're seeing this happening now. The other thing I wanted to just mention is about the mega trial, which we talked about last year, which wasn't funded this time. Esther Crawley did an absolutely stunning job leading this with a number of colleagues sitting in this room. And I just want to thank you, Esther, for doing what was an amazing amount of work for this. We got down to the short list, which was great, from about 60 odd applications down to about 7 or 8. We were interviewed, but at the interview we didn't quite make the cut. That doesn't mean that this whole thing is just going to wither on the vine, but it means we need to take the feedback from the Medical Research Council Committee, sit down, get serious about what they said, and think about where we're going next with this. But I can tell you, this is not the end by any means, and we are definitely going to move forward on it. But we just have to make sure that when we do move forward, we learn from the experience, and then we look for opportunities for funding elsewhere. Now, I also approached the Academy of Medical Sciences to see whether I could get them interested in doing a high-level review of this field, because I felt that we needed some high-level politics in medicine to start beginning to pull some levers to get this patient-centered dreadful condition recognised more sincerely. I got an email yesterday or day before saying that they didn't want to do this at this time, which hardly surprises me, that they were prepared to look at a project on pain and fatigue, which kind of would build on the Arthritis Research UK's type initiative. But I think what I would like to suggest is that next week, when a number of us here will be attending a Royal Society two-day meeting in Critchley Park, I think, on the neurobiology of fatigue, is for us there to have a little think about maybe, and discussing with the Royal Society, how we might move this on, because obviously that two-day workshop isn't just a workshop and everybody walks away and goes home. Hopefully we're all going to learn from that workshop and something will flow from it. So I think another serious conversation will need to take place at that meeting, and I'm delighted that you know, we actually have that following our meeting here. Another thing that's going to happen on September the 20th is that a number of us are going to meet up with Vicky Whitmore from the National Institute of Health, who has taken great interest in what this collaborative is doing and wants to talk to us about how we can bridge and form collaborative initiatives between the National Institute of Health and the researchers here in the UK. What shape that might look like and where it goes, I don't know, because we haven't had the conversation yet, but the mere fact that she's giving up a whole morning to meet with us at the MRC to have this discussion, I think is incredibly encouraging, and we'll let you know how that all goes. I'm going to close soon, but I just want to say, looking at the research that's been done across the world in the last 12 months, there's been some amazing things that have happened, and we're going to hear about some of them during this conference. I think the most amazing thing to me is that in the US, the Institute of Medicine report really means that the NIH are now taking this seriously, and I think you know, the fact that they pulled this out of women's medicine, which I think it was in before, put it into the neurosciences or some other area of NIH, means an awful lot. And if you go onto the web, you can see all the activities that they're doing, not least of which is the phenotyping of collections of patients with post-infectious chronic fatigue syndrome and ME. There's also biomarker identification going to take place in severe disease, which they're very keen to promote over there. And the Open Medicine Foundation, which is a kind of crowdsourcing form of funding, is obviously also looking to find new biomarkers in a population. Phase 1 of their funding has been successful. They're now looking at phase 2. So I think, all in all, you know, we are in a very different place than where we were 4 or 5 years ago when I set this thing up. And I just want to say, you know, yeah, okay, it's not all beautiful music, but I definitely feel step by step we're beginning to make progress in this area. I think through Mark Edwards' vision, really, and through the involvement of the industry in our executive, he suggests that after this meeting we should revisit the vision of the collaborative and just have a little think about where we're going with the collaborative. And I think that would be very sensible, considering that things are now beginning to gain traction. And I think we need to then go out on our website and be very clear about what the collaborative is all about and what our intentions are over the next 2 or 3 years, so that you as a community can see what we're trying to achieve. And after 5 years, I think that is a reasonable thing for us to do. So ladies and gentlemen, that's where we are at the moment. We're very much alive. This is a tremendous group of people. The strength of the organisation depends on you all, so I'm grateful to you all. And I think at that point I'm going to now launch the official part of the Congress. But before I do that, Sonia's going to tell us where the lavatories are.